My name is Patricia Powell. I've lived in Windsor a long time, 46 years this year. My origins were in the very middle of London in the city of Westminster. And I discovered Castleview was going to be built, signed on very early. It took almost 5 years, but I hung on and here I am. All my family had died, all my close family, and I've got lots of friends, so that wasn't a problem in terms of sociable life. But I lived in quite a spacious Victorian terraced house, and I was rattling around in it. I stayed there for quite a long time after the last member of my family died, and realised that actually it wasn't very sensible. And there was one particular incident, something scary in the neighbourhood, which put the wind up me. And I decided it was time to move, and also before I had a crisis of some sort. One of the things that tipped me off to feel it was time to move was that there was a scary incident in the street I lived in Windsor. Windsor's quite safe on the whole, but there was something very unpleasant. It didn't affect me, but it affected people either side of me. And at Castleview, it was a huge relief to know that we were well looked after, that we were safe 24 hours a day. If anyone feels ill or there's some problem during the night, that can be attended to very quickly. And I know from both friends who've lived here and friends outside that in the past, their previous places had been burgled once or twice. And so they feel safe too. It's safety for everyone. It's very, very reassuring and relaxing. I feel very safe in both ways, and it was a deciding factor for me to come here. It was really, really important. It's a very nice feeling to feel that one is secure 24/7. The staff are delightful, very helpful and lovely altogether, and very competent. And it's a really good feeling. So I felt released when I got here. I have a great circle of friends here and abroad and all over the country. They go right back to primary school. And I value friends hugely, not least because I have no family. So without ever wishing to intrude, friends are my family. They're really, really important. I've made new friendships here. There's a very eclectic, very nice, very interesting group of people in this community. It has become part of our mantra to say we are not a care home. We are independent livers with add-ons in a very nice block, which is extremely well facilitated and very near everything. Yes, I've been involved in a number of events and continue to be so, but I think that almost the biggest one that the homeowners have organised was the 80th commemoration of VE Day 1945. And it was particularly important because the 75th, which would normally be the quarter century one, was covered by, it was during lockdown. So it had to be the 80th. And it was agreed by the events committee, which I was a member of, management and homeowners, that we would mark the day, and I was asked to lead it. It was actually my suggestion. And so I corralled 6 other homeowners, called them G7, and we put on 2 events in a day with huge detail. It went wonderfully well, and people joined in and provided an astounding amount of memorabilia. So the anniversary of VE Day was very significant in the annals of Castleview, pleasingly, and of course we did it to honour people who had served. It was so successful and so well thought of that it was suggested we write a book, we do a book. It's on the whole visual because of this huge collection of memorabilia, but I wrote most of the text apart from one paragraph, I think. And it's been very well received. It's been sent to museums, of course lodged with the British Library as is required, and it's been sent to the Mayor, the RMP, members of the Royal Family, and so on. And so it's been a big thing, and of course every homeowner received a copy of it. It was published by our owners, LMS Retirement Living, which we were greatly appreciative of. Castleview met the things I had felt I would definitely like. I was willing to be compromised, of course, but actually one of the things I had decided very much was I wanted an apartment, preferably up on an upper level, and I'd like a balcony. I didn't want a garden, and because I had rattled around in my house and garden, I didn't want any more of that. But I like this site also because it's got greenery around it. I used to belong to the gym that was here years ago, before this was built. And you'd look at the hedge while you were cycling. So yes, there were things, and also I decided I'd like a two-bedroom apartment because I've got a lot of books, for instance, and other things, and a piano. And one of the first things I got permission for was to bring the piano with me, because blocks of flats don't always like pianos or instruments, but I was allowed to. Got it in writing. So yes, the answer is yes, it did fulfil the things I thought I'd like. Once I got here, it took a while to become un-zombie-like, but then I settled into it, and emotionally and physically even, because it's a comfortable building, and I have a slight mobility problem, just walking, it gradually relaxed me. And I found now, these several years later, nearly 7 years later, 7 plus, that I've got more time and in a more relaxed way to do some of the things I really, really like doing, whether it's here or outside. I would say go for it, and go for it before you have a crisis, which is what I did. I mean, I didn't have a crisis, but I thought I'm going to move before I have a crisis. I'm on my own in a house, rattling around in it. And I've been curious, because people have said, oh, but I was worried about leaving my friends and relatives and things. And I think, well, why? You can keep in touch with them. I mean, nowadays, there's lots of ways of keeping in touch very easily. And I haven't lost any friends through moving here at all, not at all. I'd lived in Windsor for a long time, as you heard, but I had friends beyond that, and some of the friends have families. A lot of friends have families, which I don't. But there's no loss of friendship at all, and there'll be new ones here. I would say treat it as an adventure, something to look forward to that will be relaxing and fun, particularly with our 24/7 safety, which is wonderful. That takes a lot of worry away. How am I getting the house fixed up? Is my car safe? Not having a family is never quite filled once everybody's gone, but it has been comforting. And although I come across as short, I'm not always. And even now, these few years later, I occasionally think, is it all right to ask that person if I may sit with them at lunch? I'm a tiny bit diffident inside, but that has eased. No wish to intrude, but sometimes because I feel a bit like not a spare part, that's too strong, but I can't join in some things other people talk about, for instance. I can't talk about it, so I haven't got anything to tell them about grandchildren and stuff. But it has eased, and it's made me feel cumulatively more relaxed emotionally, physically, and everyday wise. I think it works for everybody. We are so well located. We're on the edge of the town centre, it's walkable. We have everything we need very close at hand. Doctors, dentists, supermarkets, petrol stations, everything. And Windsor itself is like a honeypot. It's not a huge town, but it behaves like a village, and it's very friendly. So you join one thing, you join something else, or in another environment, you come across the same people. So it's a snowball effect. So it's a very nice place to live, and of course it's restricted in development by the river and the great park, so it straggles, but there's an awful lot going on here, and that is very pleasing. And for me personally, it's just continued to be pleasing, but with an extra element. I think I'd go further back, and I would have investigated later living, because there's still a lot of mystery about it, and people tend to lump everything into one thing, which is care home. Here, it's not a care home. It's a very nice block of flats, block of apartments, beautifully designed, very near everything. If one needs care, then one arranges it, and our owners, LMS, can help. But we're independent livers. That's the mantra. And I think if that were made clearer, that would be very good for everybody, because we have an ageing population. The part of the building I like best is the reception lounge area. I sometimes go down there just to not be on my own in my apartment, although I'm always busy, and just have a coffee, read a magazine, do a crossword. And there are always people passing in and out, and sometimes they'll stop and have a coffee too, but if they don't, that's fine. It's really relaxing and pleasant, and there are little things happening all the time. So that's really enjoyable. The other thing is the Sky Lounge. It's an inspired idea to use a flat roof to put a beautiful lounge with a stunning view. You may know that the BBC have been to interview us a few times, and because they liked the view, and then they decided they liked us too. So, sort of the beginnings of a new showbiz career. A few minutes on BBC Breakfast, but it's very nice. And on the roof, it came into its own during lockdown. We had fun during lockdown. We agreed to be a big bubble. We raised money for the NHS and did ourselves good by walking measured laps around the roof and round the building, just on site. And we raised, I don't know, I think it was about £2,500 for the NHS. And we clapped for the NHS from the roof, waved at the people in the other blocks of flats. So it's a lovely thing to have, but my very favourite bit is downstairs.